this passage we're going to look at is a difficult passage because of the subject. The subject is about a theory called standpoint theory. The genre is sociology. Whenever you get a passage which is on sociology, any humanities related to any subject of humanities, it is a little difficult because unlike a passage on biology, there would be a lot of contradictions. The sentences would be long-winded. Every time somebody writes a sentence about something, there are a lot of qualifications. Given this, I'm saying it may be possible, but it is also possible. So, because social scientists don't have too much physical evidence, unlike physical scientists, so they give their own. The sentences are always long drawn out. There is an analysis involved, and when they come to a conclusion, they have to give a lot of supporting ideas and arguments. Therefore, these passages are often a little difficult to read and of at least moderate level difficulty when you answer the questions. Having said that, you've already tackled the first passage. This was the second passage in the set in the mock. Then this is doable because when you do the first set, the first passage is easy. It's easier to come to the second passage and do it because you've already warmed up. All right? Okay. If we look at the summary of the passage quickly, let's do it. Talks about the work of Dr. Smith, who was known for her contribution to what is called the standpoint theory. She says most conventional sociology has been written, developed, the view of the world has been written from the male experience or the male standpoint. All right. As women, she says, we've been living in an intellectual, cultural, and political world whose making has been almost entirely excluded, whose role in the making of the world is almost entirely excluded. The view of the world, the political, intellectual, cultural world is seen from the male standpoint, not from a woman's standpoint. All right. So she says, then the next paragraph says that sociology should not just be a lens for viewing. It should also be a tool for changing, ordering society, organizing it on better principles. And she says that the present situation is such that everything is taken from a male viewpoint. The society has been ordered by men. The rules, sociology is basically viewed from a dominant viewpoint of the male. So she says we should change, reverse the focus of sociology. What is the suggestion she is giving? How do you reverse the focus of sociology? Rather than making people, in particular women and people of marginalized sections, she gives example people of color, gay men and lesbians, anyone on the margin, anyone who doesn't form the majority, and or men. She says instead of making them the objects of study, they should be the subject. This is the most important line or the point made by the author. And what does she mean by that? She says that sociologists should be focusing on the world around them as seen and experienced by these people, that is women and marginalized section. They should see the world as viewed by women, as viewed by marginalized section, rather than always looking at it or only looking at it from the male standpoint. Okay, therefore she criticized the forms of investigation where, only the viewpoint of men were taken into account. Then, of course, they've given examples of Smith as herself being a single mother and how she experienced, how she was judged, and there were certain presumptions about her in society. So what did she say? She says that this treating women, marginalized section as a subject should be a tool used by conventionals, by anybody, instead of using the conventional dominant forms of inquiry used by sociology. What is the dominant form of inquiry used by sociology? The male viewpoint as defined by men. Okay, it should be universal. It should be, and women should be subjects rather than objects of study. Clear? Question 6. Which of the following, if false, could be seen as supportive of Dr. Smith's claim? Now, what does the question mean? Whenever you get an if-false question, first try to understand what is the question asking me to do. If it is false, that is, which sentence here, which if you put it the other way around, if that sentence is not correct, it will be supporting the author's views. So you should look for a sentence which is opposite to what is stated by the author, because what is opposite, if false, would become what is against the author's views. If it is false, would become a statement in support of the author's views. So here, the statements which already support the author's views are the wrong answers, because if they are false, they go against her views. So he is asking us to find out an option which, if false, would support the statement. So we look at an option which is opposite the author's views, so that when it is false, it will prove to be supporting. And any other options which seem to be on the same lines as the author's views is not our answer. Clear? All right. The current male-centric approach is effective. Is the author favoring a male-centric approach? No. Dr. Smith is also against the male. No, he's asking us for Dr. Smith's claim. Is Dr. Smith supporting a male-centric view? No. So if this is false, the current male-centric approach is not correct, incorrect, erroneous, not effective. That would support her claim. So we've got our answer already. A is the answer. Let's look at the other options. This is what makes this question easier than it actually is. Most students don't read the question properly, don't understand the question properly, and then mark the wrong answer. Now let's look at the other three. If you will not be surprised to see that B, C, and D will align with Dr. Smith's views. The standpoint approach is relevant in sociological investigations. Yes, that's a new approach, and which brought in a new idea that things should be seen from a different view, so that women are not excluded. The institutional ethnographic approach is essentially community-driven. This was given in the last paragraph of the passage. It's community-driven. This sociology should concern itself exclusively in viewing the objective truth. All three are there in this paragraph. Let's look at the first paragraph where he talks about the second paragraph where she talks about what sociology should do, and also what is the institutional ethnographic approach. All right, here. Sociology was not just a lens for viewing society, but also a tool for ordering it. And so sociology is not just a tool, it is something beyond that. All right. Then next one is where we talk about the institutional ethnography somewhere here. Here, she called it the institutional ethnography. What is institutional ethnography? The dominant mode of inquiry in feminist social science as well as outside academia, where community-based researchers used it to understand the relationship between a person's everyday world and organizational forces surrounding it. So, institutional ethnographic effort is a community-based driven effort. All right, approach. All right, next one.